ओम नमो नारायणाय। ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृत भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम शांति। काय तो ओम नमो नारायणाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Yesterday we heard that Shakalya, no, this is, today is 22, is it not? So, we have to go back, 20. 22 today, so from 21 onwards we have to explain. Ekar 21 now. Achha, this is over. So, yesterday when we started, it was told, the opponent asked, why we should ponder on the consciousness or the Atman. We are already that, and we know we are not different from that. Then he says, there are so many schools of thoughts. Though only one thing is there, they describe differently the Atman. He says, Sankhya, as I told you, they don't believe in Ishvara, and they say the illusion or the Pradhana is the creator, and the Purusha or the individual self is not attached, and this illusion gives liberation to Purusha, and individuals are many, individuals are numerous. But here, in Vedanta, we say only one Atman. Because of the adjuncts, there is difference is there. And the another Vaisheshika system, he says the universe is created by joining of the atoms. And not only that, he says, who advocate liberation are of opinion that there is no joy to be experienced in liberation. Whereas, when Yajnavalkya asked the question, when Brahmanas were not able to answer, Then he told, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Brahman is full of bliss. Because it is full of bliss, whoever come in contact with that, he gets also bliss. Brahmaveda Brahmaiva bhavati. When you think of Brahman, you become Brahman. What you think, that you will be. That yad bhavam tad bhavati. These things we have already noticed. Others say that there is exceeding joy in it. This Sankhya and Vaisheshika say there is no joy in Atman, whereas others say there is exceeding joy. That is why, because of the different opinions, we have to ponder on the Atma. Otherwise, now, in Brahma Sutra, there is an argument in the beginning of the second chapter. The opponent says, you are a monistic follower, Vedanti, so you should not quarrel with anybody, because you see only Atman everywhere. Then why you are refuting the other schools of thoughts? See the question. You are a Vedanti, always believing in one Atman, and whoever it may be, only one Atman is there. Then why should you refute them? Question seems to be all right. But the thing is, you see, those who follow Vedanta, they are not having full discrimination, number one. And they are not completely having good intellect, manda buddhi. They don't understand what is what. That is also all right, this is also all right. So take anything. In that way they speak. So there was a big Swami. One devotee came and asked, you are a Vedanti? Yes, I am a Vedanti, Swamiji told. And why you take only bread? Why are you taking rocks for eating? See, because I am a Vedanti, I take roti. You also asking about Vedanta. The rocks are left for you, so you can eat. See? It does not mean that you are a Vedanti, that you should swallow whatever comes. We are in the relative plane. We are talking of the absolute, that it is only one consciousness. Anyhow, so there are so many differences of opinions are there. Now when the question was put by the opponent, what answer the Vedanti gives? Because some dull intellect people are there in our Vedanta, and everybody is not having full discrimination, and the other schools which appeared, they also appeared through great rishis. Kapila, great rishis, Kapila, Kanada, Gautama, Jaimini, they are also stalwarts in their days. So they will be thinking that that is also all right. So why should I follow only Vedanta? I can follow that also. In that way, if they follow the other schools of thoughts, they will be not liberated, and they go far away from the liberation. So to avoid that, to increase their discrimination as well as the other schools are not all right, you will not get liberation if you follow those things. That's why we refute. Not that we are having some enmity towards them. For that, in Mandukya Karika, next time, if God permits, we will do it. So there, Lord Shankara gives an example. A man is sitting on an elephant and is riding the elephant. So another, say a crack or madcap, is standing on the way of the elephant and says, "You are an Advaitin?" Yes. He is asking that rider of the elephant. So you directly ride the elephant on me, because you are Advaitin. So do you think the intelligent man will do that? That's why he says, though we see the oneness in the absolute state, in the relative plane we observe the duality. Bhavadvaitam sada kuryat kriyadvaitam na karhichit. We should be in our emotions, in our devotion, we should always think of the absolute oneness. Not in the relative plane. Very dangerous. In the relative plane. That's why don't suddenly jump from absolute to relative, relative to absolute, and say everything is good. Hopeless Vedanta. Everything is good. They are staying in the relative plane and they talk of the absolute. That it is called undigested Vedanta. So to avoid that, we refute the other schools of thoughts. And again he says, the Purvapakshi, here the opponent asks, knowledge is not possible in oneness since the different factors of action do not exist then, and also since action presupposes many such factors and knowing constitutes an action. He says, you say, Atma vare drashtavya srotavya mantavya sthiti dhyasitavya. So, you are telling you should know Atman. This is knowing also is an action. And you say, action is not necessary, is it possible? That is the question of the opponent. Understood the question? So, he says, we say it is knowledge, that you are already that, and it is bliss absolute. So, knowing your own self, experiencing your own self is not an action. In that way he says, again he puts a question, you may tell 100 times the fire is cold. Do you think the fire becomes cold? It never. So in the same way he is asking the question, but even a Shruti passage cannot make fire cold or water hot, since the passages are simply informative. He is telling about the Vedas. They are simply informative. Informative should be not imperfect. Instead of N should be there, I think. It is not possible for them to say that in some other land fire is cold. Page 807, 1, 2, 3, 4th para. In that you can. But here is the instead. Then he gives the answer. For knowledge of bliss is observed in the individual self. See, he says, the knowledge of bliss is observed in the individual self. So, how can you say, and the man who has realized, he has nothing to do with the scriptures. You are telling the scripture is only informative. We do agree. For a man of ignorance, it is informative, it gives some information to him, and he follows the instructions. But for a man of realization, it is of no use. This also we give through example. Suppose somebody has asked you, you bring these things for me. He has noted down in a paper and gave it to you. You read it, 2-3 things. You remember. So, do you think all through the life you are carrying that paper with you? Because you got the information, you throw it away. Is it not? In the same way, for a man of realization, it is experience of one's own self, but not informative. The information only helps to go forward in the spiritual life. Then again he says, in the absence of the body and senses, knowledge is not possible. Again he says, see. And absolute revelation indeed consists in the separation from the body. All right, you want to get the knowledge, you are using the senses and the mind as the tool. It is a means. If you want to go to the other side, you need a boat. But that does not mean after going the other side, you are carrying the boat on your head. This also we told. So, through the instrument which we are having, through that only we have to identify or realize our own self. After realizing, you do whatever you may like. Not only after realizing, but the scriptures say, once if you have taken sannyasa, at any time, in any way, you can give up your body, no sin to you. But, being a householder, if he gives up the body without reason, that is called he is committing suicide. Before committing the suicide, if he is caught, even the government punishes him. That you know, I think. In our side it is there, here what is, we don't know. So, if a sannyasi jumps into the river or takes some poison or some way or other, if he leaves the body, no sin to him. Because he has already completed all the rites. And because he don't want to depend on others for this useless body. That's why he has given up. I have seen many saints like that. Somebody went and sat in Gangotri inside the water. And that Purnanandji, Shashwatanandji and another Swamiji, they three Guru Bhais. Purnananda, Shashwatananda and Sampurnananda something. His grandson also, now he comes and conducts the Bhandara. That Swamiji also simply went and jumped in the Ganges. So, now he says, in the absence of the body and senses, knowledge is not possible. As we do agree. But through that only you have to get. Not body is separate and Atman is separate and you are getting the knowledge. Then again he says, handful of water poured into a pond, he does not remain separated in order to have the knowledge of the blissful Brahman. As such, it is meaningless to say that the man who is free knows the bliss of self. See, suppose you put a pot of water into the sea, what happens? It becomes one with it. Then he says, where is the bliss? See, that is the question. That is why we should understand the scriptures properly. Only one thing is there, that is bliss, and that is Atman, and you have become one with that. Then, where the question arises to enjoy the bliss? When there is three things, a known, knower and known, then only I want to enjoy bliss. The fire never say, I should have the heat or I should have the light. It is nature. It burns. It gives light. The consciousness and bliss is your nature. What to talk of getting bliss? So, we can answer it like this. That's why it says, if you say like this, all the scriptures become invalid. That is why we already told in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the knower, known and known dissolves. Nothing is there. There is, he says at another point, Brahman knows constantly its own bliss. It is meaningless to imagine its state of knowing and not knowing. See, if Brahman is bliss, where the question arises of knowing and not knowing? Then, now, somebody's nature is there. It is quarrelsome nature. So, until and unless he quarrels with one or two persons in the daytime, he won't get sleep. So, what he will do? He will pick up a quarrel and do. That is his nature. So, all of a sudden he cannot overcome the nature. Is it not? In the same way, so when knowing and not knowing, that's why the scriptures say, Brahmaivasan Brahmapyeti. Even before knowing you are already Brahman. Only you have covered with ignorance. Try to uncover the ignorance. Nothing to do. What is there, it is already there. And this is another question. If you don't want to enjoy that bliss, you do whatever you like. So, here knowing and not knowing is for an ignorant person who has covered that with ignorance. Ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. That's why this question also does not arise. And again he proves knowledge bliss should be interpreted as indicating the true nature of the self and not as expressing the experience of the bliss of the self. See, what is the true nature? It is bliss. It is knowledge. That's why there, while giving the definition of the Atman, we say Satchidananda. That is the definition. Suppose if I say there is a lotus, it is very big, it is blue in color and having good smell. So what you are describing? You are describing a lotus. By describing so, you understand. Lotus is very big, it is blue in color and it is smelling. So though you have used the adjectives, all the adjectives are telling only one thing. In the same way, though we say existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, it is only one thing, it is not different thing. And finally, it is you are experiencing day-to-day life, you have to experience, you have to uncover the ignorance, that's all. But again the opponent says, if the bliss is not experienced, the Shruti texts such as laughing, playing will be opposed. This is the laughing and playing, you see, is in the state of Jivan Mukta Avastha, or a man who has realized the Brahman with attributes and goes to Brahmaloka. So, these things also are explained well there. And this, say, enjoying the bliss, they can take any number of forms. They can go anywhere they like. Again, you should not forget, this is for those who have liberated and went to Brahmaloka by meditating on the Brahman with attributes. For them, these things are being told. But a man who meditates on the Brahman without attributes is liberated here itself. Na tasya prana utkamati, he need not go to anywhere. If the Shruti admits of what occurs normally, then it is possible that the man who is freed might even become miserable. He says he is freed and he says he is miserable. You tie a bird with a rope to a pillar. How much it is disturbed? Or tie a small child because he is jumping too much. Started weeping and weeping. You release him, immediately he laughs. So, who likes the bondage? Nobody is a fool in this world to get into the bondage himself. But he says that the man who is freed might even become miserable. See, that is the question. If the Shruti admits of what occurs normally, that means a liberated soul will again take a birth. But that is against Shruti. That's why for the attributes such as happiness and misery are superimposed due to the delusion. If ignorance is not there, so this is over or what?
You jumped a page.
Huh?
You jumped a page.
At that time itself you might have told.
That's the reason Swamiji came to show you.
Huh? No. He wanted to. His course is over. Anyhow, we will repeat again. Now, whenever we talk any topic or give a lecture, first we should give the essence. Then we should tell about elaborately. And then in the end again we should give the essence. So, as asked by Pranava, we should try to give some the essence. See, the chapter has started that attachment to the senses is bondage. So that one should overcome. And then he has asked, what is this Atman? Yat sakshat aparokshat Brahma tadme vyachakshva. Then he told, it is beyond the body, gross body and subtle body, causal body is ignorance. And again he asked the same question. Then he told, it is not having hunger and thirst, it is not having happiness and sorrow, and at the same time it is beyond death and old age. So, the same Atman, which is separate from the body, has been again explained. Now it is all right. Then Gargi asks, who is the indweller? What is all this is pervaded? By space. Where the space is pervaded? That is by the Atman or the indweller. You describe it. So, now first she has asked about the Sutratman. That is, the combination of all the subtle bodies are the vital force which is supporting all the universes. That is called, they have described Sutratman. Then they have described, say, the indweller. And they told the differentiation. The indweller is more of consciousness and the Sutratman is more of adjuncts. So, the same consciousness, if you give the adjunct or an attribute, it becomes the Sutratman. If there is no adjunct or no attribute, and that becomes indweller. But the indweller also is having a attribute called Ishvara, a name. That is the seed form for the all universes. And then he has described it second time to the Gargi with all negations. Neti, 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 neti. And what he has described through not this, that same thing was asked by Shakalya, but he could not complete it, rather to say, because in the Brahmana of Shakalya, the identity of the self with the all-pervading consciousness is described. Then again, why Shruti goes further, he says, so far we have described all this with negation. Now we wanted to describe this with confirmation and say this scriptural, what you call vidhi, injunction. For that he said, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. For that what he said? Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Then all these questions have come. How is it possible? So, these all questions also were replied. We will just go through once because we have not read. Because page 806, they who advocate liberation are at variance. So many schools of thoughts are there that we have already described. Followers of Sankhya and Vaisheshika system who advocate liberation are of the opinion that there is no joy to be experienced in liberation. Others say that there is exceedingly joy in it, known only to the experiencer. Which of these is logical? See, that's why those who are not having the background of scriptures, they are completely attached to the worldly objects. Why? They don't know that something superior is there, something absolute happiness is there. That's why. But here, Vipratipatti. Vipratipatti means only one thing is there, but it is imagined in different ways by different schools of thoughts. That is why we have to ponder on the self. In liberation, there is joy to experience as evidenced by Shruti passage as laughing, sporting and rejoicing. If he becomes desirous of the world of the fathers, see, he says liberation, and we know in liberation there is no desire. When he becomes completely desireless, then only he will be liberated. But here he says, if he becomes desirous of the world of fathers, that means, that is why we should know these scriptures thoroughly. This is the state of liberated person, though, but who has meditated on the Brahman with attributes and went to Brahmaloka. There he can, whatever desire he wants, that is fulfilled. That he says. From him who is omniscient and all-knowing, enjoys fully all things he wished for. So he says, Sarvan Kaman Samasnute. He gets. Now here the opponent asks, knowledge is not possible in oneness. See. Because he says knowledge is an action. Knowing. For that he has told, since the different factors of the action do not exist then, and also since action presupposes many such factors, and knowing constitutes an action. Knowing, he says it is an action. But that is why yesterday we have discussed, it is not only knowing, it is experience and realization. Experience is far below than realization. Because in experience there is Trinity is there. Knowing, known and knower. But whereas in realization, everything dissolves. There is nothing wrong. On the authority of the Sriti, the knowledge of the bliss of Brahman should be admitted. Knowledge of the bliss of Brahman. Knowledge of not Brahman. Bliss. Bliss is your nature as well as nature of Brahman. This you should not forget. We have said already that such declaration as knowledge, bliss, Vijnanam, Brahma. Vijnanam, Anandam, Brahma. That the answer given by the Yajnavalkya to all the Brahmanas, that is the cause. Would be improper. If you say it is action, this Sriti goes wrong, improper, in case the nature of bliss is not experienced. So, this also we told you, we have been experiencing all the states, in deep sleep state, dreamless sleep, in the dream state, even in the waking state, we are enjoying that bliss. But only we are not identifying ourselves with that. Or we are attached to something else. Only two things. You may say you are not attached, or you have not attained, you have not become one with that bliss, or you are attached to something else. Maybe body, maybe senses, maybe ego, or some objects. That's why. So, the nature of your Atman self is bliss. So there is no action. When you are sleeping, what action you are doing? You want to kick others in the sleep? In dream you may do, but in deep sleep, if somebody gives some anesthesia to you through the nose and takes away with the cart and puts in the sea, gone. You don't know at that time. So that day we were talking about the sleepwalker. Sleepwalker. Sleepwalker.
Okay.
So, though he is walking, that is called insomnia, no? Something like that. What is?
Is exactly opposite.
Achha.
The person who doesn't get the sleep is called.
Oh, acha, insomnia. This is sleepwalker. Sleepwalker. But even a Sriti passage cannot make fire cold or water. That is the question of the opponent. Since these passages are simply informative, it is not possible for them to say that in some other land fire is cold and that in some other land which cannot be reached with water. Shruti is told, has given the instruction, Atma vare drashtavyaha. Sotavyo, mantavyo, nididhyasitavya. Do you think because the instructions are there in the Upanishads, so knowledge is there, no doubt. So keep the book below your pillow and sleep, you will get all the knowledge. You going to get? Huh? Because it is full of knowledge, keep the book below your pillow and sleep. You will get the knowledge. Can you get like that? It is only giving, though it is informative, it helps. After efforts, you will be realizing that. So, don't think simply by gathering information you will get the experience. You have to do efforts. That is the first teaching of Swami Sivananda. Do efforts. Everything is within you. You are bliss absolute. That's why, say, this is not so. For knowledge of bliss is observed in the individual self. So, the knowledge of bliss, where is the bliss? In your own self. The passage such as knowledge, bliss have no scope of being interpreted in terms of meaning that is opposed to what is directly perceived as. For instance, your statement fire is cold. So, meaning that is opposed to what is directly perceived. You are having direct experience. You say that the sun is only of this much size from here, if you see. Is it a fact? So, what you see, what you experience in the relative world is never true. That is why the Vedantins say the world is unreal. Happiness is within you. Try to experience. On the other hand, a meaning that is consistent becomes obvious through experience. See? Day-to-day experience in the relative world. When a man says, I am happy, he experiences personally the self of the nature of bliss. Even in the relative plane, I told you, when you get a new thing, your mind is introverted and you are getting the bliss from inside, not in the object. If it is there in the object, it should continue all through your life. After a few days, the happiness fades. And if it is with, say individual, when you dislike an individual, you give him away. Therefore, its position of not being opposed to direct perception is evident. Therefore, its position of not being opposed to direct perception is evident. What is direct perception here? Experience. Hence, Brahman, that is bliss, as well as knowledge, knows itself. You know your own self. That only you have to experience. That means remove the ignorance, nothing else to do. Accordingly, the Sruti passages expressive of bliss, such as laughing, sporting, rejoicing, which are cited earlier, become intelligible. That's why these things also, because by nature you are knowledge and bliss. This, even in the relative plane, you can discriminate and understand. A thing is, it is existing, it gives happiness, and name and forms are changing. That's why they are unreal. Moreover, in the absence of the body and senses, knowledge is not possible. Absolute liberation indeed consists in the separation from the body, he says. This. In the absence of the body, senses cannot be possibly exist, for they have then no support. Consequently, knowledge is not possible for want of the body and senses. So, if the body and senses are there, then only you can get the knowledge. Now you are having a wrong knowledge, which you call ignorance. That's why we have to take a birth. Otherwise, should we take birth if we are liberated? That itself shows we are full of ignorance. Don't think we are having good knowledge and we are far superior. Because of ignorance only we take birth. That we have to remove. Knowledge is not possible want of the body and senses. And if knowledge is possible even in the absence of the body and senses, it leads to the supposition that in the case of everyone, the body and senses are not essential means. So, this is called the best instrument to get the knowledge and highest bliss. Sarira madhyam kalu dharma sadhanam. Whatever efforts you have to do with this body only, without the body. So take care of it. What Swamiji says, Sivanji, it is the temple of God, take care of it. Moreover, the above conception will run counter to the oneness of Brahman. If you say there is no body and there is no senses, then it goes counter. It says, if it is held that the Supreme Brahman, being eternal knowledge, knows itself externally as absolute bliss, it is not proper for even the man on the plane of transmigration, when freed from the transmigration, would attain his own true nature. So, he has attained his true nature in the sense, previously it was not, and now he has attained. So that's why he has taken the example of a transmigrating soul. After passing, he is going to the Brahmaloka. That is also because of the all-pervading consciousness which is reflecting in that particular mind, which is transmigrating. It takes, but it cannot move by itself. So there are different deities that carry him to the Brahmaloka. From here to sun, sun to moon, moon to Varuna, Varuna to Indra, Indra to Bruhaspati, Bruhaspati to Prajapati, Prajapati to Brahmaloka. So what they are all carriers. They just take this and give like that. Though they are having everything, consciousness is there, subtle body is there, but it cannot travel by itself. In the same way, one which is not having a gross body becomes a ghost. It cannot do anything. No chanting. If you chant name, it goes away. Bhut pisach nikata nahi aave. When you chant Hanuman Chalisa, what you chant? Bhut pisach nikata nahi aave. So if somebody is afraid, we tell the child to chant the Hanuman Chalisa, so the fear, the ghost, everything goes away. And if it is held that the man who is freed, being different from Brahman, knows the bliss of Brahman and the individual self as I am the blissful Brahman, then it turns counter to the oneness of Brahman. If he says I am different from Brahman, then he cannot enjoy. That's why in such a case, all the Shruti becomes opposed and a third speculation is not feasible. It is not logical. That's why bliss is within you. You have to enjoy. You are not different from the bliss. Bliss is your nature, as the heat and light are the natures of the fire. Only you might have forgotten, or you are not doing sufficient efforts to experience. One of the things.
When we say bliss is our nature, we do not mean in the sense of possessor and possessed, not in
No. Because you see, that itself is ignorance, he refutes. Brahman is there, I am the individual, Brahman is full of bliss, I doing these things, I will be attaining Brahman. That is full of ignorance, he refutes in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 3 or so. So that is not the right conception. There is yet another point. If Brahman knows constantly its own bliss, it is meaningless to imagine its state of knowing and not knowing. If you say that Brahman knows constantly its own bliss, Brahman knows, are you Brahman? What do you say? You are Brahman. Then why there should be knowing and not knowing? Because we have not realized, we have not experienced. Though we are Brahman, we have not experienced. That's why Lord Shankara gives the example of a garland. Garland is there. Now suppose this garland is there. It has gone back. And where is my garland? Where is my garland? It is there. Of course, this is weighty. We can experience with the small, thinner things if they take. Gone. Then somebody comes and says.
Normally it happens with the specs. People, they keep it here and sometimes.
So somebody tells, hey, it is there. Then he gets it. What happened? He forgot that it is there, that's all. That is why, though knowing is not there, knowing is necessary. And he is giving an example, Dashamas Tomasi. That famous story, you know. 10 disciples, they have crossed the river and they have started counting, and they are not counting themselves and telling that we are only 9. One fellow passed away and somebody comes and tells, the 10th man is there. And again he says, you are the 10th man. So he gets the knowledge. If it is aware of its own bliss constantly, that is its nature itself. So there is no knowing and no, or not known. As such, it is improper to imagine that it knows its own bliss. Such a thing is meaningful only if there would be a time when it does not know the bliss, as is the case when a man knows himself and another. Indeed, there is no meaning in distinguishing between the states of knowing and unknowing in respect of a person whose mind is fully immersed in the shaping an arrow. He says, this is all the opposite he asks. Knowing and not knowing is not possible, he says. If it does not continually knows its bliss, then there arises an occasion of its knowing something else during the gap when it does not know itself, you see. Now, he describes 2 states. I know my own bliss in some times. And if I am not in bliss, then I should know something else. That's why Swami Chinmayananda gives an example. He is also a disciple of Swami Sivananda. In India, there are goods trains. They carry the goods. So in between, you see the gap. When you stand on the platform and if a goods train is passing, and in between the carriers, space is there. So to this space, you see the other side of the station. You can see in between. In the same way, in the midst of your work, what Swami Chinmayananda says, you should remember God. But here what he says, if you are completely bliss, and an occasion of its knowing something else during the gap when it does not know itself. We do forget many times. So, this brings modification to the self, which leads to its transitoriness. So, when you don't know yourself, modification, change, that is called parinama. Therefore, the Shruti, knowledge, bliss, etc. should be interpreted as indicating the true nature of the self. There is no gap. You are not separate from it. That is why, and not an expression, the experience of the bliss of the self. It is not an expression also. It is not as expressing the experience of the bliss of the self. You are already that. That's what it says. Then, if the bliss is not experienced, the Shruti text such as will be opposed. Then he says, no. For such Shruti only admits of actions normally arising due to the identity with the all self. When the man who is freed attains identity with the all self, wherever there is laughing in the yogis or in the gods, see here gods is a small letter. The Shruti simply speaks of them as they are with regard to the man who is freed. Freed in the sense, not completely. He is in Brahmaloka. As this is due to his identity with all self, this is to serve as eulogy on liberation consisting in the identity with the all self. Because, you see, the Sutratman or the indweller is identified with all. So, he is one with them. Oh, so whatever conception or notion comes to his mind, immediately it comes before him. So, that is the joy of Brahmaloka. If the Shruti admits of what occurs normally, then it is possible that the man who is freed might even become miserable. See, again he says, liberated and become miserable. Opposite. Just as in the case of laughing, etc., which normally happens to the yogis and the like, and which is supposed to partake, so also should he partake of the misery normally happening to unmoving things. Says the liberated man is having happiness as well as sorrow. Then he says, this is not so. For the attributes such as happiness and misery are superimposed due to the delusion. If delusion is there, he will not go to Brahmaloka. He will not be liberated. That is why they are only superimposed, arising out of the constant with the limiting agents. That is why even after liberation, there is a state, Jivan Mukti. Yesterday also we have discussed. So to enjoy that, Yajnavalkya, though after liberation, he left everything and wanted to enjoy that particular joy, happiness or the bliss of the Atma. That's why he has to leave everything and go. The body and senses, which are but the creations of the name and form, thus have these doubts been all settled? The exact position of the apparently opposing Shrutis too have been explained already. All the passages featuring bliss should be observed like the Shruti says, this is its supreme bliss. When you are experiencing that, there is no difference, there is no trinity. So you are one with that. That means the salt doll has already merged in the sea. There is no difference. If the difference of the body is there, it is called Jivan Mukti. And after the falling away of the body, it becomes one with the, just like the space of the pot becomes one with the outer space. So this is something. And as I told you, the Shruti in this particular chapter has taken you slowly to the absolute. First, having attachments to the senses you have to overcome. Then he asked, where the liberated persons go, parikshitaha. Then he told they become one with the vital force. They go outside the universe. That also is told. That means the vital force is pervading all the universes. And that is called Sutratman. About that he has asked. And about the indweller. And the indweller is in all. That is called Ishvara. And you are something beyond Ishvara. That is bliss absolute. So in this way he has concluded. Thank you all. You have given me a good opportunity for my meditation or for my reading, because I am a very poor reader, I told you. Because I want to tell, I read. Otherwise, I never read. I never study, whatever it may be. Thank you all. Now, time is up for our, say, as Ishwari wants some singing. If you agree, we'll have Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kato Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavatvya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Asubhani niracheste tanoti subhasantatam sutimate niyatpumsam brahmatam mangalamidhu onkaraschada sabdasyad bhaveta brahmana pura kantam bhitva viniryato tasman mangalika ubhau yerme gurubhi purvam padavakya pramanata vyakyata sastha nityam. मुरली मनोहर राधे श्याम मुरली मनोहर राधे श्याम गोपी वल्लभ राधे श्याम गोपी वल्लभ राधे श्याम मुरली मनोहर राधे श्याम मुरली मुरली मनोहर राधे श्याम गोपी वल्लभ राधे श्याम कृष्ण मुरारी राधे श्याम करुणा सागर राधे श्याम कृष्ण मुरारी राधे श्याम करुणा सागर राधे श्याम नंद नंदना राधे श्याम नवनीत चोर राधे श्याम विश्वाधारा राधे श्याम राधा रमण राधे श्याम विश्वाधारा राधे श्याम राधा रमण राधे श्याम देवकी नंदन राधे श्याम कुंज विहारी राधे श्याम सच्चिदानंद राधे श्याम सच्चिदानंद राधे श्याम सद्गुण रूप राधे श्याम सच्चिदानंद राधे श्याम Radhesyam Govinda Krishna Radhesyam Yadukula Deepaka Radhesyam Muktidayaka Radhesyam Munijana Vandita Radhesyam Muktidayaka Radhesyam Munijana Vandita Radhesyam Radhesyam Jaya 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 Radhesyam Murali Manohar Radhesyam Devaki Nandan Radhesyam Radhesyam Jaya 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 Radhesyam Radha Ramana Radhesyam Radha Ramana Radhesyam Radha Ramana Radhesyam Govinda Krishna Radhesyam Radhesyam Jaya 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 Radhesyam Thank you all. You can just go to business and computer.